Hey guys, before we begin, I just wanted to let you know that this video is going to contain spoilers for Update 3 and like the leaked script. So if you're not into that, go ahead and click off now. But there's a lot to talk about. I'm super excited. Ah!
Yo, how's it going, my dudes?
Yeah, okay, so I'm gonna be completely transparent with you because I think that transparency is important. I was initially not gonna make a video about this because I didn't want to be like super repetitive about Update 3, and we've had a lot of Update 3 content recently, but then I remembered Update 3 is right on the horizon. The final horizon is coming in like 16 days. So I think it's pretty normal for me to be talking about it and hyping it up because it's gonna be special and I'm excited. I'm super excited for it, and you guys should be too, and if you're not excited for it, then your sins will not be forgiven. But, another thing, at first, I just felt like a lot of what this trailer was doing was just restating stuff we'd already known, and there just wasn't really much for me to talk about. But, having looked at it another time, and talking to my friends about it, I think I have kind of formulated a couple of things that I want to say about the trailer. The video is probably not going to be that long, but there were just a few things that I wanted to address in this video, and yeah, let's just get right into it. And of course, I didn't write a script for this because these things you gotta do these things fast. You know, if you want to get views, you gotta do these things fast. You know, and that's just how things work around here. Which means I don't have time to write a script for this and like fully edit a video and make like a big thing about it. It's just how it is. So let's get going. Of course, we have the traditional Sonic logo just to get started in it. I didn't record my reaction to this because I don't know, I didn't feel like it, and honestly my reaction wasn't really anything. Like, and usually my reaction isn't really anything unless it's like something super hype. Like, my reaction to the Supreme in the, like, reveal trailer, like the teaser for it was, like, real. That was genuinely my reaction, but, like, I'm just not great at reacting to things, honestly, and I feel like no one really is, and I feel like most reaction videos are people just doing an exaggerated version of themselves to get attention, and I just don't want that to be me, so... So this is like a new line from Sage, which I think is pretty interesting. Which kind of shows that I think they revised the script a little bit after I, showed the script to over 15,000 people. So, sorry about that, Sega. Please forgive me. But yeah, I think it's a new line. I know she says something similar to that in the original, and I did re-watch my video of the script before, like, making this one, just so I could kind of remember what's new, what's old, because I'm gonna be honest, I forgot, like, some of the things. Like, I got the basic plot points down, but I forgot some of the things that were going on. So, I felt the need to just go back and rewatch that. And what I find interesting here is that Sage opens a portal, opens up the sky, and then the end is behind her. And we're going to talk about the end after I've kind of gotten all my thoughts down. But just keep in mind that the end is here, because it's going to be very, very important. And also I like kind of the purple sky background. We'll get into that too. So here we have the symbol again, which makes me wonder if we'll like actually find out the meaning of the symbol. I've been theorizing that it means rebirth, and I have a video where I talked about it being rebirth. So I think that the symbol does mean rebirth, or at least like it's either rebirth or freedom, I think, are like the two things that the symbol could mean, because both of those things seem very central to the ancients' culture. And the symbol appears both whenever one of the ancients is released into the sky and when Sage is kind of reborn. Which the ancients being released into the sky could, like, imply reincarnation of some way. I don't know. I guess we'll see. It does say discover a new path here, which a lot of my friends, have theorized that what this means is that there will, like, to get this alternate ending, there will be steps that you have to take, or maybe there will be like multiple endings inside of this. I personally disagree with that. I think that there's already just so much that it will follow one kind of concise narrative, and I don't think there will be separate endings based on separate actions. And I think all that this really means is just it's a new ending, and this is going to be like the canon ending to Frontiers, because what we got was really just a placeholder for what could have been. Which makes me really excited, actually, because we never really got to see the ending of Frontiers. Like, how I see it, really, I'm still in the middle of playing Frontiers. Like, I've never actually beaten Frontiers. No one has actually beaten Frontiers, because, except for, like, the developers, I guess, because no one's actually played to the end, the true end yet. Which just, it makes me really excited to, like, actually be able to complete this game, because this is... If this update goes off perfectly, which I really think it can, then this will be my favorite Sonic game. It will beat 06 if this update can do what I'm thinking it's going to do. We're gonna have to see, but I'm really excited. Alright, this scene with Amy is really interesting. Again, we already saw it. We already know that Amy was gonna talk with the Coco and try to figure out where the emeralds are, and it looks like Amy is going to be the one like actually searching for the emeralds. And we also see the Elder and Hermit Coco in the background, which makes me wonder how the other characters will actually interact with the Elder and Hermit. And there might already be like kind of gameplay leaks that show this off and show how they'll like level up and stuff, or if they'll level up at all. I have not seen them. I've really been focusing more on the story and less on the gameplay, and maybe I should have been focusing more on the gameplay, but I haven't been, and I don't really have an excuse for that. I just didn't feel like it. But yeah, I think it's really interesting to see them back here, because I think they'll at least be important to Amy. They may not be important to everyone, but they'll at least be important to Amy in some way, which I think is very interesting. And also note that the background here is like kind of a grassy area, which means we know Oranos Island is getting revamped. Like, I had thought maybe that they would just add new structures to Oranos Island and like change it up a bit, but no, they have to, like, they would have to completely revamp it, and I think that's what they're doing. I think that what Sonic Team is going to do is they're just going to kind of go back, build an entirely new Oranos Island. Maybe they'll kind of rebuild Kronos Island as well, and maybe there will be a new beginning as well, but I don't think so. As cool as that would be, I don't think they're going to do that. I think that Oranos Island is just going to be completely built from the ground up, and all the other islands are going to kind of stay the same. But we know that the premise of the island will still be grassy, at least in this segment, which is fine. It's totally fine, but now we kind of know. And there's also like this rose fields too, so I think they'll still kind of keep the rose field, which is fine by me, because like the Field of Roses was probably one of the coolest, or one of the most memorable parts of the island for me. So I'm glad that they're keeping it in. So this scene is probably the least important in the update, or like in the trailer, but it's still cool that they showed it. It's just Knuckles beating up a bunch of constructs, which are now under the End's control, it seems, which makes sense. So I did want to point this out here, though. Like, I find it cool that like you can actually kind of see the innards of it. I don't know if that'll like be a thing. It's probably just a thing for the cinematic, because like, as you know, in the game usually just what happens is they explode into cyber dust, but here we can actually see them like kind of combust. But I think what this is going to show is that Knuckles' story is, or Knuckles' part of the game is going to be incredibly like combat based, which makes me wonder if there will be like new enemy variants, like the gold variant enemies, for example, because people have been talking to me about that, and I even saw some of you talking about it in the comment section of my script video. that there might be gold variants returning. And while I'm not entirely sure if that'll happen, it would definitely be cool to see Knuckles have to go toe-to-toe with some of them. At least, I think there will at least be some new Guardians that are attributed to Knuckles' more combat-focused style of gameplay, which I'm all for that. But again, we'll just have to wait and see. So here we have Tails actually facing cyber corruption. And this is probably one of the more interesting ones because like while Amy's like revealed some stuff and Knuckles was cool, I think that this scene in particular is really important. Probably maybe even one of the most like interesting parts of the entire trailer, although the ending, which we're gonna get to in just a second, also reveals something very interesting. We see Tails is like interacting with some kind of cyber cage here, but that makes me wonder who or what is in the cyber cage. Why is he interacting with it in the first place? Maybe it's the Chaos Emeralds, but again, that seems like something that Amy is more like focusing towards. And I know that Amy and Knuckles end up getting cyber corruption. They also get cyber corrupted as well, as we've seen like in the script. Also, it's weird to note, like, it seems like, yeah, Tails is at first normal, but once he starts interacting with the actual cage, he starts to like turn back into like a cyber ghost, which is interesting. Because that's not really what happened to Sonic. Sonic just, like, got the cyber corruption, like, on him, but Tails is actually, like, reverting back and becoming more transparent. Which could just be a callback to him, like, remembering when he was a cyber ghost. But I don't know. And again, it's a cinematic, so obviously, like, parts of it are going to be dramatized. We'll just have to see. I don't really know if it probably doesn't mean anything. I'm dwelling on this too much. It could also be Eggman that's in the cyber prison, and we'll see that in a second, where Eggman, like, is with everyone else when he really seems absent for, like, the rest of the island. Or maybe it's something else. I don't know. Maybe it's, like, some kind of key into the Temple of Master King. It's very, very cool, though. And I'm really excited to see like all three of these characters being played with more. Also, if you look here, you'll see that Tails is like more on a mountainous area of the island, which makes me think that there might be some more like mountains, some more peaks to explore on like the newer part of Oranos Island, which would also make sense for like Tails in particular since he can fly. Like it'd be interesting if like there was like a huge mountain that you had to climb at some point in Tails' part of the game in order to get up to the different like cyber cages and unveil something, whatever that something is. And also like kind of proves to me more that Oranos Island is definitely going to be completely revamped and they're not just going to add new structures to it. And this final scene here, we can see a pyramid back here as well. That could have been what Tails was climbing, but this seems more concrete to be like just a mountain, because like what we saw in Tails is that this was definitely more like rugged, whereas this is a lot more concise and it looks more man-made, especially with a little divot here, which makes me think that this might actually be Master King's temple, and this might be where Sonic goes to find him and then gets his cybersonic form. Alright. So, we see Sage and Eggman here, which does make me think that, like, Eggman is not going to play that big of a role on this island until the final boss. Like, I think Eggman will play a role, at least in the Supreme fight, maybe in the fight against the End too, but that's a bit more slim. But I think there's a pretty high likelihood that Eggman will play at least some role in the battle against Supreme. And I can imagine Knuckles, Amy, and Tails also playing their roles, and even Sage playing their roles as well. But Sage will definitely play a role as well. Like, I imagine they'll probably keep the thing of Sage piloting Supreme to help you fight against the end. Whether or not Knuckles, Amy's, and Tails pilot the other Titans, I'm not too sure about. Like, I think... First of all, those Titans were, like, absolutely destroyed by Supersonic, so Sage would have to be, like, rebuilding them. Or, like, Eggman would have to be helping her rebuild them if Eggman is even still in the picture before the final boss. But I kind of doubt that, and I don't know, I don't think that Sega's gonna take that route. I think it's more likely that they'll play a role in their own way, without... They'll play a more indirect role, without, like, actually piloting the Titans. And then we finally have the end here, kind of bearing down at them, which this is something I wanted to talk about. So, I just want to go through the trailer one more time, but I want to look specifically at the end. So if you see the end here, it's kind of... It's definitely, like... It takes up a good portion of the screen, but it's, like, kind of small compared to what you would imagine, like, the end, this giant moon looks like. But in every scene, like, when you look at it, it gets bigger and bigger, like, each time it's on screen. Which makes me think that there is a chance... Like, we already know from this, we can imagine the end is going to be playing a much bigger role. And this was an idea I had all the way back in my very first, like, Oranos rewritten video. Basically the video that, like, made this... That was basically the founding video for this channel, because that was the first video that, like, really started attracting people. So, you know, it's a very important video to me, but I also think that, like, I'm thinking back to a lot of the points I made in it, and one point that I made in that video that was very important was the idea of things getting worse and worse for, like, the world in general as you progressed. Like, in the video my idea was that there was, like, a hurricane that was being produced by Supreme, and, like, the entirety of Oranos Island was being coated in this constant, never-ending storm. And, like, each time you progress through the island, like, more and more just, like, wind and rain would keep coming down, just showing the urgency, just showing, like, the end of the world is coming. And while I don't think they're going to take that approach, which I'm perfectly okay with that, I do think that they're going to do something similar here with the end, because the end... I think it's getting closer and closer to the Earth, like, with each passing moment. Like, I think what's kind of gonna happen is at the very beginning of the island, you can vaguely see the end, like, in the background, like, when you look into the sky. And every time you, like, as you progress through the island more and more, the end starts getting, like, bigger and bigger in the sky. It's getting closer and closer to Earth. And by the time you're near the end of the island and you're ready to fight the final boss, the end's, like, right in the background. It's kind of like in Tears of the Kingdom with the Blood Moon, where, like, you're fighting Draconified Ganon, and then you can just see this giant blood moon in the very background, just kind of watching over you. And then we have Supreme. Like, I think whenever Sonic is fighting Supreme in, like, what appears to be... He'll probably be fighting Supreme in Cybersonic form, at least based on the first trailer, but... I don't know. Actually, yeah, probably. I can imagine they'd pull out Cybersonic form for the Supreme fight. I can imagine you'll be able to see the end in the background as you're fighting Supreme. And then once you defeat Supreme, Sonic and Sage are then able to go out and, like... And maybe Eggman, too, are able to go out and kind of actually do battle with the end in the background. But at this point, we're just gonna have to wait and see. This update did definitely shine some light on things, like I'm getting a clearer idea in my head of what could happen, But again, all of this is just like theories. It's all just speculation. But luckily, we only have to wait 16 more days for that speculation to see if I'm right. And it doesn't matter though. It doesn't matter to me if I'm right or wrong because in the end, I know this update's gonna be fucking badass. And I can't wait to see you guys there. It's gonna be so much fun. Alright, see you guys in the next video.